We continue to sample the southern end of the Canning Stock route, where only beasts of burden would dare tread. But since the 70s, camels are out and four-wheel drives are in. Now there's some beautiful spots to camp in WA. I'm Penny Wells and let me show you them as we continue west. Last week, we kicked off our Canning Stock route experience from Well 51 and travelled southbound. Well 26 is where we pick things up again right now, pushing further south before leaving the Canning at Georgia Paw to explore country deeper into the west. There's only a few functioning wells on the track, and Well 26 is one of those. It's been fully restored to resemble what it would have looked like back in the droving days. After a hard day's work, I can only imagine the effort it must have taken to pull the water up from the well, send it down the trough and feed all those thirsty cattle and horses. Today it's got some facilities, a campfire with a hot plate, a toilet and plenty of places to pull up a camper or a swag. It's definitely one of the more picturesque wells on the Canning Stock route.
How good was Well 26 this morning, mate?
It was a really pretty little spot to camp with those finches. I think they appreciated the water you left behind for them, Jim Bob. In total, you cross 700 dunes doing the Canning, and they're all completely different. Some are long, some are short, some are lumpy, and some I get stuck on.
Well, was a bit easier than I expected, Penzo.
Wasn't too bad at all. Got a bit of a run up and over we went.
So these dunes, as opposed to the Simpson, are a lot firmer underneath. I'm finding the cars don't bog down as much.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, Jim Bob. And if I do need a bit of a run up, there's usually a nice straight track I can take to zip up, get some speed up. What's happened, our cameraman has actually hurt his ankle, so I'm going to get out front on the quad bike for a bit. I'm going to use my smaller UHF with the throat microphone. It's also pretty important to turn the UHF on to channel 40. Alrighty, ready to rumble.
So Benzo's out on the quad bike up front. I finally get a chance to drive a truck. Haha. Sounds like we've got a mate up here coming in the opposite direction. He's stuck on a sand dune. He's just put out a mayday call. See if he needs a pull by the time we get there. He's frantically trying to get himself off at the moment, but it does sound like he may. He said he can't reverse up, so we'll see how we go. Benzo's out the front. She'll meet him first and assess the situation. Hey, steady on, Tiger. There's nothing to see here. You can keep going. I'll be there soon.
No worries, alright. There's another soft dune out in front, so keep an eye out for that.
Roger that. So I may have needed 2 goes to have a go at that dune. It's the reason that I don't get to drive very often.
Due to a delay in our progress, old mate had successfully recovered himself by the time we arrived, but they were still keen for a friendly chat.
just in front of us, Jim Bob, it looks like we're going to circumnavigate a lake. It's beautiful, red colour. It's nice to see some water.
Yeah, that's an unexpected surprise. It's massive. We've just come over sand dunes. We're in a desert and we've got this massive body of water.
Now I'm looking, but I can't actually see any birds on this one.
I'm just blown away by the colour of it. It's like a deep, deep red. It must be water runoff from the sand dunes.
Yeah, good point, mate. It's taken a while to drive around. It's a decent size.
Reckon we can go for a swim in this one?
Only if you go first, mate. I'll follow you in behind, I promise.
Yeah, well, I believe that when I see it, but yeah, I'm keen as. After crossing deserts, I'm keen as for a swim.
How about I find you a nice well instead?
I don't know, I'd rather the lake than a well.
Get your floaty out, you reckon?
Yeah, rubber ducky, she'll be alright.
Tell you what, we're going to have to kick the cameraman off this quad bike more often. It's pretty flaming good. So much fun.
Yeah, I'm surprised you gave it up.
Yeah, no, it's good. Bit of stress relief. You actually get to see a lot more on the track. I was following a big lizard trail before. That was pretty exciting.
It looked like a decent sized lizard too. You look at his footprints, they were huge.
Yeah, I think you might have been heading to that lake for a drink of water. After this lake, mate, I think we've got a couple of sand dunes to cross. You ready to get a giddy up on those?
Yeah, mate, let's hit him. I'm always keen. Bigger the better. I love a challenge.
Yeah, a little bit of speed and we'll be giggling.
Yep, let's hit it.
Metres from well 23 is the location of the fuel drop that you can organise through Capricorn Roadhouse. Now this is something you may want to organise before you leave for your trip if you're heading up from Wiluna. This is our turn off to Georgia Bore. Looks like it has some facilities. I reckon it might be a good spot to camp tonight. There's other people camped here and I can see they've got fly nets on, so that can only mean one thing: crazy flies. Never mind, we're in the desert. You've got to expect those sorts of little critters out here. In 1990, a mineral exploration company set up a camp here. They put this bore in so that there would be plenty of water for the people working here. By 1991, their work was complete, but they decided to keep this functioning for the people and the travellers that pass through here. Now this marks our end on the Canning Stock route. It's been an amazing journey, but don't worry, we've got some more gems coming up for you as we continue west. Thanks, mate. From this location, we have so many options as we make our way to the coast. But no need to worry, we still have plenty more outback gems to discover before we arrive at the ocean. To the west of Georgia Bore is the community of Bungnor on the edge of Karlamilyi National Park, which is the home of Desert Queen baths. If you're coming off the CSR track, you're probably going to need fuel. The little community of Bungnor is a perfect spot to do that. Now the diesel is a little bit expensive at $3.20 a litre, but you've got to expect that in such a remote area. It's also a great opportunity to catch up with the rangers and get some information about Karlamilyi National Park. It's the second biggest park in Australia, second only to Kakadu. There's some beautiful spots to swim, towering cliffs and lovely gorges to have a look at. 116 kilometres to our turnoff, and the last 18 kilometres is four-wheel drive only, and you do need a high clearance vehicle to do this track. This location is of great cultural significance to the 5 Aboriginal tribes that inhabited this area. The river that we just crossed, Rudell, is named after a man that led a search party in 1897 looking for 2 lost people from the previous year. They were on a scientific expedition and became lost. In doing so, Rudell traversed the entire course of the river. Today the track is pretty good and we've only got 20 kilometres to go until we hit the 4-wheel drive section.
So we're just heading into the national park to go and see the sacred rock pools. And we've got this dirty, great big goofy camel standing in the middle of the road. He doesn't seem too phased by us, but I'm getting a bit closer now. There he goes. Oh, he's hit top gear, he's running. Oh, it's so funny the way they run. Doing and his big lips bouncing. Oh no, he's pulled up now. Oh, funny. His head's getting high. Oh, he's running again. He might try attacking the car this one. It's so funny the way they run. Quite hilarious. Should try and overtake him at speed. Actually, that's a very good idea. Right. Operation Camel. Engage. Let's get over the kids. He's running. Full noise, he pulled off over the grass. See you, Mr. Camel? Well, that's how you get him off the road. Oh, funny. Jim Bob, out.
Karlamilyi National Park is nearly 2 million hectares in size. Located in the eastern Pilbara region, it's also home to the Throstle Ranges, which I'm driving through at the moment. As you weave through the track of the Spinifex Plains, you're surrounded by this ancient landscape. But the jewel of this national park is Queen Desert Baths, a series of crystal clear pools that you can swim in. You can also camp there too, and it's remote camping, there's no facilities available. You need to be self-sufficient, bringing in your own water and taking all your rubbish with you. It's a beautiful place to visit in WA. Just about to drop into a hole now, more erosion. There we go, erosion plus a side angle, fabulous. There's the camper. We're through. This track is a photographer's heaven. You could literally spend a whole day crawling along this track, picking out different shots. There's so much beauty out here. You guys would love it. You have to come and visit. You do need a permit to access this area, but it's very easy to sort that paperwork out. It's so worth the effort. Right in front of me is just a beautiful vista of these massive cliff faces. It looks like you camp at the base of them. Perfect spot for a camp. Here we go, this looks like a nice little spot amongst the ghost gums. Fire pit ready to go.
One thing we have found with our travels through the deserts, where there's water, there are flies. But we have found the solution. Come with me. We have a fly net room that goes underneath our awning. It just gives us a bit of a break from the flies. Fly free. Cheers.
Formerly known as Rudall National Park, it's one of WA's beautiful spots to truly enjoy isolated outback travel. This gorge is a life source to many different frogs, snakes and goannas. There are 8 pools in total, but I'm only going to show you this first main pool, which is a 50-metre walk down the gorge, and that's out of respect for the Martu people. The upper pools are a sacred place for them, and they've been kind enough to let us enjoy this special spot. Now, other than a random bathtub out in the desert with a bore, I haven't had a paddle this trip. And there was a bloke here yesterday who reckons there's a thermal spring up there where the bubbles are. Now I'm going to dip my toes in and see if he was pulling my leg. I don't know, but I want to find out. It's like ice.
Again?
No, well, yes.
Right, I'm going to come back and throw you in if you don't jump in.
So cool.
What do you reckon, mate? Bloody beautiful.
It is beautiful. Like they say, you got to truly immerse yourself
In Australia's
in
beauty.
the gorgeous big red cliffs there. Beautiful clear water. Got your ghost guns around the edge, and the reeds, occasional bird dipping in. This is living. For quite a while now, I've had this sporadic clunk and I couldn't figure out where it was coming from. I've been under the vehicle, tightened up a few things under there. I've gone everywhere over the car searching for this clunk. And it wasn't until yesterday at lunchtime when one of the boys sat on the tray and I heard this sound. And I'm like, that's the sound I've been searching for. Now what's happened, this circle here is now oblong. Put the pin in, and you got free play there. Now out in the bush I can't do much about that, but what I can do, put that back in, I can take out some of that free play. Some vehicle hitches have an extra bolt that you can tighten up here to take that free play out. This factory Toyota one doesn't, unfortunately, but they say that necessity is the mother of all invention, so I'll show you the fix that I've got worked up for this. What I've come up with is aluminium cans. I'm chopping the tops off and cutting them in 2. That one's ready to go. I've just got to do this one here. You might find it a little bit hilarious, but I've got some toenail scissors here because I don't have any tin snips on board, but they do the job quite nicely. So I'll just cut this one up, be ready to go. What I'm doing now is just trimming up the edges, just like you do with normal tin snips, taking all the burrs out. Now my sleeves are ready. Place it onto the tow hitch. Just start working it in. Once you've got one in place. Now this is where it's really important that you don't have any burrs, because if you've left a burr behind, it's going to make it even harder to try and slide this in over the top of the first one. Because the aluminium's covering half the hole here, I'm going to have to use a hammer to get this pin in. Now, because it's worn on one side, I'm going to put it in on this side, and once it gets in closer here, I'll spin it around and put it on the face where it's not worn as much, just to try and help it, not as much free play there. There we go, that clunking sound is gone. The pin is sent home and I'm ready to hook up my camper trailer. Now I don't expect this fix to work for very long, but at least until I can get into a major town and get another hitch and replace it. And thank goodness that banging sound will be gone from the back end. It'll be nice and quiet in the cab today. Desert Queen baths did not disappoint, and even though the water was icy cold, it was refreshing. Sitting on the rocks looking at those magnificent red gorges, really beautiful, well worth a visit guys. Aside from the sun in your eyes, this is the perfect time of day to have a look at these mountain ranges. ranges. I'm really surprised with how much wildlife is out here. So many varieties of birds and insects, and early this morning I think there was about, say, 5 dingoes howling. It actually woke me up. It's a very interesting place out here and it's so cool to explore it. Never been to WA and I am loving it. This track has led us right down to the water's edge. It looks really pretty. I reckon this might be camp for the night. This looks like the perfect spot to camp tonight. Even a swim wouldn't go astray here. What do you reckon, Jimbo?
It's a nice little spot, isn't it? It's amazing. And private, nobody else is here.
Before we hit the tracks today, guys, I just wanted to give you a couple of tips in regards to tyres. Now, with tyres, you get what you pay for, so invest in a quality set for reliability. And secondly, you need to manage them for longevity. Now, for me, I've got my 4-wheel drive, camper trailer and quad bike. I've got 10 tyres to manage. Now, that can be quite a chore. I'm often bringing them down and up each day, adjusting them to the different track conditions. Now, what makes my life easy, and it can help you too, I've permanently mounted my compressor in the back where it's easily accessed. It's got a nice long lead to run around both the vehicle and the camper trailer, and it's a decent size. It's 160 litres per minute that it can do. So invest in a bigger compressor and you'll be able to bring them up a lot quicker. Secondly is my speedy tyre deflator. I use that every day as well. It makes it so easy and quick, and the gauge is really accurate as well. It pulls the valve out and away you go. So guys, tyres are a big investment, and if you manage them right, you'll have thousands of kilometres of trouble-free motoring. Looking further west, the road to Hanging Rock sees very little traffic, so it was all hands on deck with track clearing for the next 90 or so kilometres.
Get through there, white girl.
Do you like the ride?
Bring it on. Soft.
I see a bit of a pattern when PJ gets behind the wheel of my cruiser.
Gonna need the tread, you reckon? Yeah, you normally use first and second takeoff. First. Retread it. Ken's not going to let me drive it, okay? Every time I drive the flaming thing, I keep bogging it. She's never going to let me drive it again.
Who let you drive?
Oh, I don't know.
Somebody put Penny in the driver's seat.
Take 4, oh the shame.
One, two, three, 4, maybe 5th time lucky. She won't let me drive it again.
Man, how good do these things work?
I know, especially having the 4.
That's awesome.
The Canning Stock Route and Karlamilyi National Park. We have certainly covered some ground this week. Just remember, Karlamilyi National Park is one of the most remote in Western Australia. So be prepared for an overgrown track and let the rangers know where you're planning on heading. I'm Penny Wells, thanks for watching Top of Down Under, and I hope I've helped you with some WA destinations for your next 4-wheel drive expedition.